Welcome back. This is Fox again, another satisfactory video. In the last video I showed you how you can make 300 oil, 900 rubber even, from 300 oil. In this one we're going to take the 300 oil and we're going to turn it into 1040 steel pipes. This did start off as just random production. I was just using all the oil in the area to make stuff, and then I decided on what my big project is going to be for the rest of the save. I'm going to be making 40 thermal propulsion rockets a minute. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's crazy. It uses something like 50 turbo motors. That's just one of the elements. It's absolutely bonkers. I'm going to be using pretty much all, well, I'm going to be using all the rest of the bauxite in the map. Pretty much all the quartz that I've got left. Hardly any caterium because of the old recipes that I use, but it's a massive, massive project. So yeah, that being said, instead of just making all this into rubber, which I was going to originally, when I decided on making those thermal propulsion rockets, I'm going to need a load of steel pipes and steel beams. So I looked at the old recipes. You can do this alternate petroleum coke recipe thing in a foundry. Alternate coke steel ingot. It's absolutely amazing. We'll be going over that in a bit. Yeah, before we get started, as usual, please give this a thumbs up if you like it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell for notifications. Come and join the Discord. Share your screenshots. Join the community. More satisfactory and city builder anno 1800 games like this to come. So yeah, let's get cracking. 300 oil comes in on the pipe. Exactly the same way we dealt with it in the rubber video. If you haven't seen the rubber video, I'll post a link in the description to that. Show you how you can make 900 rubber from 300 oil. But yeah, the 300 oil comes in, split between 10 refineries. These 10 refineries are making 40 heavy oil residue a minute and 20 polymer resin each, which accounts to 400 heavy oil residue, 200 polymer resin. Polymer resin, I'm simply using the residual plastic recipe. I've binned it and I'm sinking it. This will all be joined together with the plastic that's being made as byproducts from the other production lines in here, and it will be shipped out. We'll be using that in the project later on down the line, but for now this is making me a tiny amount of plastic. It's only making me 67 a minute. I've got 3 of these setups, so it's like nearly 200 plastic a minute from these 3 setups. I'm making slightly more from the steel beam setup. Yeah, anyway, I got digressing. So the heavy oil residue comes in. The oil comes in, makes into the heavy oil residue and the polymer resin, which is making into that little bit of plastic we just spoke about. The heavy oil residue then goes into these refineries. This is using the Petroleum Coke recipe. It's a standard recipe to make petroleum coke. It uses 40 heavy oil residue to make 120 petroleum coke. No byproduct. The good thing about this is it needs 40. Each one of these refineries needs 40. So in some of the setups, I've literally just got these back to back with a pipe going straight in. For some reason, this setup, a couple of the refineries kept lacking, so I had to blend them all together just to even the flow out. But yeah, anyway, they just literally need 40 and they're giving 40. So some of the setups where they're back to back, it runs perfect. So these 10 refineries, 120 each. That means we're making 1200 petroleum coke a minute. That's the equivalent to, it's almost, it's a pure and then a bit of a normal node. It's like 2 normal nodes of coal that we have literally just made in 20 refineries. It's amazing. I mean, this setup, this is probably fast becoming one of my favourite alternate recipes. Main reason being, you haven't got to ship coke in anyway. You can do it on the water. All you got to do is pump a 300 pipe of oil in here and you've got the equivalent to 2 normal nodes of coke, if you look at it that way. It does use a little bit more iron than the other recipes, but there's 70,000 iron on the map or something, so it's not a problem. The iron I got for these projects in the northeast corner of the map, excuse me, there's 12 or 13 normal iron nodes out there. I only needed 10 for this. I've got 5 setups. They needed 1200 per setup. So I've shipped it all in train. Each one of these carriages was carrying 300 iron. They're blended together to make a 600 line, and then I've got 2 600 lines of iron coming to each little pontoon, if you like, each mini factory. So yeah, the petroleum coke, we were making 1200 a minute. This is then getting mixed in these foundries with 1200 iron ore. making me 1600 steel ingots a minute. You can see I've got these downclocked. The sole purpose for downclocking these is the fact that I wanted to have them properly overflowed and not manifold. Dealing with big numbers, 75 a minute, it's a lot. I wanted them properly load balanced, especially with these Petroleum Coke refineries. So anytime you can split anything by 9 makes it a lot easier, mainly because you have one splitter, splits into 3, and then another splitter that goes into 3. You don't need to know no crazy load balancing, running stuff back into the system. So personally, anytime I can split anything into multiples of 3, be it 6, 9 or 12, I do. 9 is my preferred number. That meant I needed to underclock these to 88.889%. Each of them is making me 88.8889 steel ingots. If we times that by the 9 foundries in each lane, that is 800. We times the 800 by 2 banks of 9 is the 1600 steel ingots that I spoke about. So 1600 steel ingots, what can you make? You can make steel beams or steel pipes. I decided to make more steel pipes than steel beams, mainly because I needed around 2,000 steel pipes for this project I'm working on. This pontoon and the other one I've got identical is making me 2,080 a minute, so I'm slightly over what I needed for the project. So yeah, then it's once you've got the steel ingots, it's as simple as just building constructors. It's just the basic recipe. There are no alt recipes for steel pipes. None. Or steel beams. None. Just basic constructor recipe. This constructor recipe uses 30 steel ingots to make 20 steel pipes. Now with these 1600 steel ingots I could have, in theory, have made 53.3 constructors making the steel pipes, but that's just a weird number. I didn't want to have to deal with that and try and balance. Well, I just decided on 52. I'd rather have a few steel ingots in lieu so that this manifold line is kept full, rather than have things ticking off exactly perfect and risk these ones down the line stalling. So I went for 52 constructors instead of 53.3. That meant every now and again we were going to have a few steel ingots that are too much for us to deal with. They would have backed the line up. So I've just got these two awesome sinks dealing with the extra. Look, you see one just went in there then. It's only slightly, it's like 1 or 2 a minute that goes in there. But yeah, suffice to say, what did I say? 1600 steel ingots. Yeah, so these 9 foundries would have been too much to put on one 780 belt. So I'll split them in half. We've got 4.5 because this one is in a splitter. You see, one's going that way, one's come up here. 4.5 foundries per line, giving us 400 steel ingots per line. Because we've got 4 lines, 9 divided by 4.5 times 2. So each one of those steel ingot lines comes to its own row of 13 constructors. 13 there, 13 there, 13 there, 13 there. It's 52 constructors. The output then, because it was 1,040 steel pipes a minute, because it was obviously too much for a 1780 belt, I just kept each floor merged together. So I've got 2 lines of 520. They are then snaking their way to the back. Up the 2 conveyor lifts, and then go all the way up to the top, down the carousel, and then they're all going to be shooting off on that platform there, which will then join the main bus, which is going to run. I've decided to do a main bus, belt bus. Everything's going to be belted. I'm done with trains for the rest of this save. I've decided to do a main belt bus that's going to run all the way across the map. It's going to run all the way across the map from exactly this point here. I did this in my last save, exactly from top of this here, all the way across west to east, all the way to the edge of the swamp. This is where I'm going to get all the water from. I need a lot of water for this project. This is all going to be piped underneath the bus. I'm going to have loads of little satellite factories along the way, building all the stuff, sending it back to the bus, and then eventually it'll all come back above the water extractors in a big factory where I'm going to make the thermal rockets right at the end. I'm going to come up with a cool design. Can't remember exactly how many manufacturers it was to make the rockets, but we'll deal with that when we come to it. But yeah, it's looking cool. Nearly done. 1,040 steel pipes a minute. Piece of cake. Oil comes in. Heavy oil residue. Heavy oil residue to petroleum coke. 1,200 petroleum coke mixed with 1,200 iron ore to make 1,600 steel ingots a minute. 1,600 steel ingots into 52 constructors, making me 1,040 steel pipes a minute. Absolutely bonkers. Loads of steel pipes, all from 300 oil and 1,200 iron. Yeah, if you wanted to use this for steel beams instead of steel pipes, it's very similar. The only difference being the ratio of steel ingots that they need for the steel beam constructors is exactly double. So you can only feed 26 constructors instead of the 52. So we've just got one floor of the steel beam constructors. This is making me a lot less. This makes me 15 a minute. 15 times 26 is 390. 390 steel beams a minute. 2 of these would fill a 780 belt exactly, but I've got 3. I can't remember off the top of my head how many steel beams I needed for this project, but yeah, suffice to say it was more than one 780 belt. So I've got 3 of these little pontoons or mini factories making the steel beams. I believe that is 390 times 3 is 1170. I'm making 1170 steel beams and 2,080 steel pipes a minute. 1170. So I'm making over 3,200 end products, if you like, or intermediate products from the steel from 300. So 1,500 oil is making me 2,080 steel pipes, 1170 steel beams. Pretty crazy. This is all the steel beams and all the steel pipes I'm going to need for my thermal propulsion rocket project. So yeah, all in all, really happy with how this turned out. It also worked out perfect with the rubber. I needed something stupid like 6,100 rubber and I'm making 6,300. The only thing I'm slightly under for the project that is going to be needed made from oil from this project is plastic. I'm about 300 short, but there is an ultimate recipe I'm using for electrode scrap. I've got to convert something stupid like 7,000 bauxite into alumina solution and then scrap. So I'm going to be using this recipe here, which uses petroleum coke, alumina solution, to make 20 scrap a minute and gives us a load of water. Now, I was a bit short on plastic, as I said, but obviously the heavy oil residue refineries that are going to make this petroleum coke, which is not being dealt with here for the scrap refineries, is going to be making me some polymer resin, and there will easily be enough, well, I say easily, there should be enough just to tip me up to the amount of plastic that I need for this project. But yeah, I mean, let's just have a quick look at the thermal propulsion rocket. It's absolutely crazy. Look what you need. You need modular engines, turbo motors, cooling systems. They're the big meme. They need heat sinks. I'm doing the one with rubber, obviously, because I've got all the rubber there. Heat sinks, rubber, water, and a little more aluminum solution. Oh, is that nitric acid? Nitric acid. Excuse me. A fused modular frames. I need more nitric acid. Yeah. It's going to be a big meme. There's crystal oscillators needed, radio control units, bloody all sorts of stuff. Anyway, I'll just show you quickly how I'm going to be joining all these factories together. I didn't like the way there was gaps at the back, so I've just joined them with these little glass canopies, being propped up at the back by these legs. Looks pretty cool when they overlap. You get this little diamond shape running through the middle. When these are all joined together from above, it's going to look freaking awesome. It's just going to complete the cycle of the octagon. Anyhow, digressing, that's enough for now. The next video will be just a basic overview of this. I'm just going to fly around and show it all off when it's all done. Just to boost my ego some more. But yeah, for now, as always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, as I said earlier. Come join the Discord. And yeah, see you in the next one.